What's going on, Broncos Country? Matthew Peterson from Chat Sports here on a mailbag edition of the show. I answer the questions you guys asked over on our community tab. So if you want to be on a future mailbag, simple stuff. Just let's ride and subscribe. Also, we got to come up with a name for this guy because I feel like he's just going to be a flagpole of this station. But let's jump into the first question. It comes in from Just Me. Do you think we should sign Julio Jones on a vet minimum? So here's the issue with this kind of idea of like vet minimum solves all the problems in the world. Yeah, they're still like big name players, but one, when you look at what Julio has done the last couple of seasons, since he went over from Atlanta to Tennessee last year, it only went from bad to worse, right? His last year with the Falcons was 2020 when he put up 771 yards and 3 touchdowns. In fact, you could combine his last 2 seasons and they don't even stack up to an average year for Julio, which was like 2019. So now I look at this depth chart here, and I want to see these players really rise and shine with Russell Wilson, right? Watch Jerry Jeudy look like the first-round pick he was. See KJ Hamler become that Tyler Lockett for Russell Wilson. And watch some of these other players really begin to develop. So, not to go full Shark Tank mode here, but for that reason, I'm out on Julio Jones. I know Julio's a big name, but that's all he is at this point. In my opinion, a name. His best football days are behind him. I'd rather see some of these younger guys get some more valuable reps and whatnot and grow as receivers rather than bring Julio in and watch him do what he did last year with the Titans, which was underwhelming. But I'll let you guys decide here. Should the Broncos sign Julio Jones, right? You could look at it and spin zone it to, wow, you get Russell Wilson and you add another star to this team and you try to capture lightning in a bottle and get old Julio for one last ride and pair that with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick. That's one dangerous receiving duo or a quadruple, whatever it's called. Anywho, give me a Y for yes or an N for no if you think the Broncos should sign Julio Jones. Next question comes in from Eddie Martinez. Would you rather have new uniforms or a stadium or new stadium first? So, in a perfect world, a new stadium. But that's going to take some time. Even if Rob Walton and the ownership group decided today, we want a new stadium, to put the wheels in motion and start breaking ground and building a new one, it's not going to come along for probably at least 3 seasons, right? And I'd imagine unless they went for a new location, they'd have to knock down current Empower Field and play probably up in Boulder at CU, but maybe they get creative. I don't think they could find another way. But regardless, new uniforms could be applied much quicker and much easier. So I'll go with the new uniforms route because that could be done quicker. As a whole, for Mile High being a 20-ish year old stadium, it's kind of underwhelming. So when you're the richest owner in the NFL and you bought this thing to kind of pass down to your family, because that's what Rob Walton does when you're 77 years old, yeah, I think a new stadium is definitely on the horizon. But would you guys rather have a new stadium or uniforms? Because here's the other extra caveat with the new stadium. If you're watching this right now in the Denver area, it's going to cost you a little bit, right? It's going to be subsidized by the local taxpayers. And that's something no one really wants added to their bill. So you could go the easier, cheaper route, which is new uniforms, which I am in favor of because after seeing a whole bunch of new uniform threads, you can get much more creative than the current ones right now. Next question on the show comes in from a longtime viewer here at the channel, Jacob Youngblood. If you could only keep one, who would it be? Bradley Chubb or Malik Reed? I think the easy and obvious answer is Bradley Chubb. But just to play a tiny bit of devil's advocate, you might be surprised when you compare their stats head-to-head how close Malik Reed comes despite not being the 5th overall pick in the draft. Now, it's definitely benefited Malik Reed that he's been able to stay on the field and be healthy, but he's also been in the league for one fewer seasons, right, coming in 2019. But ultimately, you go with Bradley Chubb because what you've seen from Bradley Chubb when he's at his best, that's what you want for years to come, right? The 2018 Bradley Chubb, who set the Broncos rookie season for Broncos rookie season sack record. That's why you picked Bradley Chubb, because you've seen his ceiling is way higher than Malik Reed's, even if Malik Reed has been kind of a snake in the grass and one of the more underappreciated edge rushers amongst the edge rusher carousel the last couple of years when Vaughn got hurt and then when Chubb got hurt. or vice versa. All right, Jace Casper with the next question on the show. Do you think Brandon Marshall will come out of retirement? So I think the reason that Jace is asking this question is because Russell Wilson posted on Instagram the other day him working out with a handful of teammates, and there was one guy in the picture who was not a teammate, and that was Brandon Marshall. Now you might be wondering, what is the connection between Marshall and Wilson? Because they definitely didn't overlap in Denver. But believe it or not, Brandon Marshall, some fun trivia here, his last year in the NFL was 2018, and it was with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, his career is pretty much wrapped up at this point. Only played in 7 games, didn't have much of an impact, but 136 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 friendship gained because 4 years later, I guess he's still in contact with Russ and close enough contact to come out and work out in San Diego with the rest of the crew and provide some tips to the youngsters and whatnot. But Marshall, when he was with the Broncos to start his career, obviously the off-the-field stuff derailed maybe what could have been a much more longer career at Mile High. But 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns before going to Miami. Always liked Brandon Marshall. Always thought he'd probably go down as maybe one of the more underrated receivers, because there were times where you were maybe a little bit frustrated as a fan that not everything was translating from off the field to on the field and things were getting in the way and whatnot. But, hey, that's for Brandon Marshall to decide, not me. But I should answer the question. I should have done that half an hour ago. No, Brandon Marshall's not coming out of retirement. It's a fun idea, but something I'm sure Brandon Marshall wouldn't even want to do himself. But help me out here at the channel by reaching 8,500 subscribers by preseason week 1. I think that's August 12th, the first preseason game. I want to reach that goal. We've got 166 subs to go. So if you have not subscribed yet, please make sure you go ahead and click that big sub button and get locked in for the best Broncos YouTube coverage out there. This next question comes in from Tyrone L., who asks, last year Pat Surtain held Jamar Chase to 1 catch against the Bengals. Do you think he will be just as dominant impact, or have same dominant impact against Davante Adams this year? So a good question and a good train of thought, right? Because Jamar Chase was awesome last year. So for what Surtain did against the Bengals at Mile High, yeah, it definitely speaks volume to applying that to arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Now, if you want to look at Surtain's coverage stats last year, we can toss those on screen. Allowed a completion percentage of 51%, 545 yards, just 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions going the other way. But to go back to Tyrone's question ultimately here, can he be just as dominant against Davante Adams? Absolutely he can. Now, we're going to see a different Davante Adams. What does he look like without Aaron Rodgers? He's still going to be one of the best receivers. But will he be the best receiver in the NFL? I personally believe we're seeing a bit of a trend with the Las Vegas Raiders, which is some people are viewing them as a bit of a party team, right? Go to Vegas, play football on the side, right? Oh, I got a game on Sunday. I got to work on Sunday, and I'm going to hit the Bellagio Monday through Saturday. I think that's kind of the trend you might be picking up with Vegas. Let's see if Adams is going to be focused in or if he's going to be a little bit on, on the strip and a little bit in Allegiant Stadium mentally. All right, another question coming in, this time from my guy Elon, always commenting here on the channel. Elon asks, how many wide receivers will go over 1,000 yards this season? That's a difficult accomplishment to have multiple players do. The last couple of years, you saw DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett back and forth. I mean, Lockett with 3 consecutive seasons over 1,000 yards. Metcalf doing more damage in the red zone. So if I had to pick how many will go over, I'm going to go with just 1 in Russell Wilson's first year, in Nathaniel Hackett's first year as a head coach, and Justin Uden's first year as an offensive coordinator. I don't want to outkick my coverage and just be a complete homer and go, they're all going to get 1,000 yards. No, I think probably just 1. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go Jerry Jeudy, because this is what you've been waiting to see out of your first-round pick from 2 years ago, him paired with a top quarterback like Russell Wilson. But who do you guys have leading the receiving corps for the Broncos this year? Is it Courtland Sutton? Is it Jerry Jeudy? Or is it my guy, the glue guy, Tim Patrick? Let me know who you think will be the leading receiver in 2022 for the Broncos by simply dropping their jersey number down below. We got another question coming in from Tyrone. I think the last one, too, of this mailbag. Tyrone asking, What team downgraded the most this offseason? You can make the argument for the Seahawks by losing Russell Wilson. That's an easy one. But let me go maybe a bit of a more, off the beaten path answer. What about the Patriots? You just look around their division. The Bills are just getting better, right? Josh Allen's only going to improve, and they just screwed some nuts and bolts and tidied some other things up, screwed in other things. The Dolphins picked up Tyreek Hill. The Jets got better. They had a great draft. The Patriots, they stayed still. And in the NFL, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. So I'll go with the Patriots as a team that downgraded the most this offseason. You've got Mac Jones, and what did you really do this offseason to complement your second-year quarterback? All right, guys, that's going to do it for us on today's mailbag. I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in and making us a part of your day. If you have not subscribed yet, please make sure you go ahead and do so. And if you've already subscribed, share the video. Share it to the rest of Broncos Country. Send it to a friend. Send it to a family member so more people can get in on the fun here at the channel.